to all. So good morning to all. We are we are completed biogeochemical nutrient cycles and ecological pyramids in our yesterday class, and we also started another new topic. So that was the new topic, that was mainly animal associations. So those animal associations so that was mutualism, commensalism, parasitism and predation. Mutualism, commensalism, parasitism and predation. So those are animal associations are nothing but, so the animals are two different organisms are interacted with each other and they continue such type of relationship in the middle of those two different organisms. Such relationship was considered as animal associations, and in these animal associations mainly are four types. Those are mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, and the last one is predation. The mutualism we already discussed in our previous class, that is the mutualism was a mutual understanding in the middle of the two different organisms. That means two different organisms are associated with, interacted with each other, and one organism was depends upon the another organism for the food and shelter or the protection. One organism may so depends upon the another organism for the food and shelter or a reproduction or any other reasons. So due to these reasons, what happens is one organism should be depends upon the another organism. By that reason, the two organisms are interacted with each other. So in these this type of relationship, two organisms are equally benefited. Such type of relationship was considered as a mutualism. So in the mutualism, both the organisms are equally benefited from one upon another. So mainly the mutualism without continuous contact and a mutualism with continuous contact. So that is a mutualism was continued till to end of their lifespan. That was considered as mutualism with continuous contact. So on those mutualism with continuous contact, mainly the organisms are so they continue the Leguminosae root nodules, that is rhizobium bacteria in the middle of our Leguminosae plant. So root nodules, such type of relationship was continued till to end of their lifespan. And mutualism without continuous contact, so that is only temporarily organisms are interacted with each other. After completion of their beneficence, then immediately both the organisms are got separated. Such type of relationship was considered mutualism without continuous contact. So those are mutualism without continuous contact. So we already discussed that is the crocodiles. The crocodiles allow the pelican birds onto their mouth region so for the relaxation. That why? Because so the carnivorous feeding is mainly to the crocodiles. So by that reason, the food was left over inside their teeth. So that was not easily removed from the teeth of crocodile for their own. So to overcome that problem, it may allow the pelican birds onto their mouth region. So the pelican birds are easily entered into the crocodile's mouth and they collect the leftover food. So they remove the leftover food inside the teeth of the crocodiles. So by that reason, the pelican birds receive the food materials and the relaxation to the crocodiles. So both the organisms are equally benefited, but both the organisms are got separated after completion of their work. So that is a mutualism without continuous contact. And a mutualism, another example, aphids and the ants. The aphids and the ants are belongs to different organisms, and aphids laid their eggs onto the nest of ants. Aphids laid their eggs onto the ant nests, so ant colony. So those ants may receive aphids mainly from the protection. They give the protection and the food material, they supply the food material to the ants. Both the organisms are separated in this relationship. And now commensalism. So in the commensalism, so it is also again two types, with continuous contact and without continuous contact. So commensalism is also again two types, so like the mutualism. So in commensalism the different from the mutualism. Why? Because in commensalism is also one of the relationship between the two organisms, but in this relationship only one organism was got benefited. The remaining another organism neither benefited nor harmed any use. So there is no use to the another organism, but there is no harm to the another organism. So only a single individual organism got benefited in this type of relationship. So such type of relationship was considered as commensalism. This commensalism was again two types, that is with continuous contact and without continuous contact. So in these with continuous contact, so the main example we all discussed, that is a sloth bear. So it may possess the hair on the surface of it. So the bear may contain the, so on the hairy structure, on those hair, the blue green algae. The blue green algae was make the relationship on the hair of a sloth bear. So by the this type of relationship was continued till to end of their lifespan. So these blue green algae was mainly lived on the hair region of a sloth bear. So it was continued this type of relationship till to end of their lifespan. Only the algae was got benefited and the sloth bear not neither benefited nor harmed. There is no use, there is no harm to the sloth bear, but only the algae got benefited. Why? Because so on the hair of the sloth bear, it was going to be transported, so mainly it was going to receive the sunlight, so by the living of the on the surface of the sloth bear, by receiving of the sunlight, it was going to prepare, these organisms are going to prepare their own food materials on those way. So these organisms are only got benefited. So such type of relationship was with a continuous contact. And E. coli bacteria. E. coli bacteria, mainly the large intestine, the large intestinal region of a human being. The large intestine, what happens is mainly inside the small intestine always the food was going to be digested. After completion of the food digestion, the undigested food and waste material all are going to be stored inside the large intestinal region of the human being. So the large intestinal region, the E. coli bacteria lived permanently inside the large intestine of the human being, and so E. coli bacteria receives E. coli, those unwanted and so undigested and the waste material of which is presented inside the large intestinal region of the human being was eaten by E. coli bacteria. Means only the E. coli bacteria got benefited here. The human beings are neither benefited nor harmed. There is no use, there is no harm to the human beings, but only the E. coli bacteria got benefited here. So such type of relationship was considered here as with a continuous contact commensalism. Only single organism was got benefited here, and the remaining organism neither benefited nor harmed. So and this type of relationship was continued till to end of the lifespan of the human being. And now the without continuous contact commensalism examples. The sucker fish on whales. Sucker fish. Sucker fish, see here. So it is the fish. It may possess at the head region. So see this. See here, it is mainly at the abdominal region of so these organisms. It may possess the sucker. See here, it is a sucker. So it may possess a sucker, that's why it was named as sucker fish. So it was used to attach on the surface region of any other fish. So it make a connection with the help of these by the presence of these sucker. It was helpful the gummy nature, for the gum nature. So it was easily attested with the help of these sucker. It was going to attach with any other fish. So mainly on the whales, it was going to attach on the anywhere of the whale fish, and so by that reason it was going to be transmitted one region to the another region throughout the whales. So the whales, so it was a sucker fish was make the relationship on the surface of the whale fishes, and so the benefit only the sucker fish got benefited. Why? Because it was going to transport one region to the another region. So with the help of the whale fishes, and it was also got food material. So on the way of their transportation to the one region to the another region, and the easily transportation, and those organisms also got protection from those any other their enemies, and so harmful organisms. So by that reason only here the sucker fish was only got benefited here. The remaining whale fishes may not be harmed or are benefited. So only the sucker fish was got benefit here. And another example for this without continuous contacts, the polynyx. The polynyx is one of the example. It is one of the crustacean. It is one of the crustacean. Crustaceans are belongs to phylum Arthropoda. So these polynyx is one of the organism. It was mainly lived inside the Chaetopterus. Chaetopterus was lived inside the, see here, so inside the sand area or muddy areas, so nearby the water media. So those regions it may, so it was going to prepare U-shaped burrows. U-shaped burrows. The Chaetopterus is an organism, it was lived inside these burrow. So these polynyx was also lived the U-shaped burrow of Chaetopterus temporarily. Why? Because a polynyx may receives food material so from these U-shaped burrow. So only the polynyx was got benefited here. The Chaetopterus may not be neither benefited nor harmed. So it is also comes under without continuous contact of commensalism. Only the polynyx was the one organism was benefited here. The remaining organism was not benefited or harmed. So these are the mutualism and commensalism are completed. And now we move on to discuss about the parasitism. The parasitism also called as antagonism. It is also called as antagonism, and so antagonism and antibiosis. Why? Because so in parasitism, the one organism was only, so till now we are completed mutualism and commensalism. In these are two different types. So the mutualism and inside the commensalism, so both the organisms are benefited, only single organism was benefited, but any other organism may not be got harmed. Any other organism may not be got harmed. But here in antagonism or antibiosis comes under the parasitism. Why? Because in these type of relationship, it is also one of the relationship between the two organisms. It is also one of the association in the middle of the two different organisms. But in these relationship, one organism was greatly got harmed and also leads to cause the death of the another organism also occurred. So it is a quite opposite to the mutualism and commensalism. So in these type of relationship, the organism got harmed and one of the organism was also going to be die with the help of by the effect of another organism. Means in these relationship, one organism was going to be killed or harmed. So such type of relationship was also called as antagonism. This type of relationship was antibiosis. Means anti means so that was completely in different organisms or interacted, and one organism was depends upon the another organism for the food, shelter, protection and completion of their reproduction. These are the main reasons for depends upon the one organism upon another organism. The parasitism is also one of the relationship, but that was a harmful relationship. So when we compared it with the mutualism and the commensalism, so it was completely a harmful relationship in the middle of two different organisms. So such type of parasitism, so the parasites are mainly, so in these one of the mycocystis is one of the organism lived inside the water. So these organism will secrete harmful secretions. So these harmful secretions are released into the water. So such type of water was drunken by the so the organisms which are lived inside the water, fishes or any other crustaceans, those organisms are easily going to be die by the effect of these harmful secretions which are from the mycocystis organism. So such type of relationship was considered as antagonism and antibiosis. So parasites are also, parasitism is so parasites are two types. Those are temporary parasites and permanent parasites. Parasitism is one of the relationship between the two organisms, but one organism was greatly injured by the effect of another organism. Such type of relationship was parasitism. Such organisms are considered as parasites, and those parasites are also again two types. That is one is temporary parasite, another one is a permanent parasites. First of all, we are going to discuss about the temporary parasites. So the temporary parasites, Glucidium larva on fishes. The Glucidium larva can lead a parasitic life on the surface of the fishes. So it was these Glucidium larva can lead parasitic life up to conversion of an adult form. Up to conversion of an adult form of Glucidium larva. So that's why this type of parasites are temporary parasites, means not permanent, only up to conversion of an adult form of Glucidium larva. It can lead a parasitic life on the surface of the fishes. At that time, it can cause a great harm to the fishes. Why? Because on the surface of the fishes, these larvae should be lived At that time it can make a great injury to the integument region, that is the skin region of the fishes was going to be injured by the effect of these larvae. So such type of parasites are considered as a temporary parasites. After conversion of larva to an adult form, then immediately larva, so when the adult form of liquidium was separated from the fishes. So these are considered temporary parasites. Now the permanent parasites are again two types. So those are endoparasites and ectoparasites. Endoparasites and ectoparasites. So the meaning is there. Endo means inner region, ecto means external region. The parasite can live a parasitic life inside the inner region of the organism, internal region of the organism, and permanently. So those organisms are mainly Taenia solium and Plasmodium vivax and Fasciola. Most of the number of the parasites are there. So those are internal parasites to organisms, Taenia solium, man and human beings. So man and pig, and the Plasmodium, the mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito and a human being, and the Fasciola hepatica, sheep and snail, and the Schistosoma hematobium is there. So the remaining most of the number of the parasites are there. Many of the protozoans and the helminthes and some of the the arthropodan organisms are also leads a parasitic life, but most of the protozoans are parasites and most of the helminthes organisms are the parasites, and remaining some of the less parasites are there inside the arthropoda phyla. So these organisms can lead parasitic life. The Taenia solium can lead a parasitic life inside the pig and the man in two different hosts permanently, and the Plasmodium so vivax that was leads to cause malaria disease to the human beings. So the mosquito is a temporary mosquito is a mediator, and the man is a permanent permanent host to the Plasmodium parasite. So Fasciola hepatica can lead parasitic life inside the freshwater snail and in the middle of the sheep or goat or any other. So such type of parasites are comes under endoparasites. So means why? Because most of the organisms are lived inside the so internal organs of the organisms, mainly inside the human beings, not only human beings and some other organisms. So mainly so internal parts, their internal parts. So the organisms are, when the organisms are lived inside the internal region of the organisms, so then the parasites can make a great harm to the such organisms. Why? Because those internal organs are greatly got so injured mainly. So any other parasite was entered through the food material, so through the water or any other contamination, by that reason that was mainly reached the stomach part. So mainly the stomach part that may cause the indigestion problem was occurred mainly inside the stomach was got interrupted, disturbed. So for the normal digestion process was going to be got greatly interrupted, and the intestinal region. So the mainly the great problems are occurred inside the total their body metabolisms are greatly affected. The indigestion problem and the intestinal problem, intestinal region, that was all the problems are occurred, and the liver got affected, and the lungs are also got affected. So due to the these presence of such type of parasites inside the internal organs of the human beings, So mainly the plasmodium that may cause a great effect to the red blood cells are going to be destructed, and the liver also got so affected, that also leads to cause the death of the particular organism also. The plasmodium vivax also leads to cause the death of the person also. The human beings are going to die by the effect of the malaria. So such type of parasites are greatly so those parasites may cause a great harm to the mainly to the host. So the parasite was going to be so depends upon the another organism. Those organism was considered as a host. Those host was going to be greatly harmed, and sometimes those host was going to be greatly affected, and also got those was these organisms, parasites are also leads to cause the death of the particular organisms also. And now ectoparasites. Ecto means that was a external side of the body. So those are the leeches on external parasites of the cattle, not only the cattle but also to the human beings. So these are leech or the external parasite of the organism. So it may receive the blood, it may suck the blood from the host, that was either cattle or any other human beings are also going to be host to the these leech, but it can lead the external ectoparasitic life, that is the external parasite of the body. The skin region was got injured with the help of these leeches. It may cause the wound. Through that wound it may receive the blood from the host. After receiving the blood from the host till the end of the total body organs of the leech, then it was going to be detached from the body of the cattle or any other organism. So it can lead the so the ectoparasites, that was mainly, so it can lead so after receiving the blood from this, so that was going to be detached from the body, and then after completion of those ectoparasites and not only these the ticks and mites are also one of the external parasites of the body. These can also lead to cause the external life of parasitic life to the organisms. So these are parasites are mainly temporary parasites and so temporary parasites and permanent parasites, the ectoparasites and the endoparasites. Ecto means that was completely external parasitic life that can lead but so it anyway the parasites can lead they can cause a great harm. They may make a great injury. They cause a injury to the organism. So that was a main effect to the host was created by the parasite. So it is about the parasitism. Only the predation was left. So today's topic is over. That was mutualism, commensalism. And the mutualism, that was mutualism without continuous contact, mutualism with continuous contact, and commensalism without continuous contact, and commensalism with continuous contact is over. And so commensalism that was also without continuous and with continuous contact, and parasitism. These two, mutualism and commensalism, both are so organisms are not harmed, only both the organisms are benefited, and one organism was got benefited here. But in so another relationship, that is a parasitic life. The parasitic life, one of the organism was greatly harmed in these type of relationship. So there is a main variation between the mutualism, commensalism and the parasitism. So in mutualism, commensalism and the parasitism was completely vary from these two. Why? Because in this type of two relationship the organisms are equally benefited, or one of the organism was benefited, but the remaining organism was neither benefited nor harmed. But this type of relationship, it is also one of the interaction, but it may cause a great harm to the another organism. The parasites or depends upon the another organism for the food and shelter, but so they may cause a great harm to the another organism. So these are the main topics today. So today's topics are over, and the remaining predation we will discuss it tomorrow. Today's topic is over. We will meet tomorrow. So we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.